Trump's legal problems continue to mount. And I'm not just talking about the criminal trials that he's already facing or those that are already slated to happen at some point this year. Following the Arizona grand jury's indictment against a number of his top allies, including Rudy Giuliani, as well as the fake electors in Arizona, it has been revealed that not only was he an unindicted co-conspirator in Arizona, which is true, he was number one, in fact, the best of them. He's also popping up in another state's investigation of a spin-off version of that scheme, which we'll return to in 1 second. But when it comes to Trump and what he tried to do in Arizona after losing that state in 2020, I just want to remind you of what happened when he tried to phone the governor to get involved and potentially save his butt in Arizona. Take a look at this. So that is apparently Doug Ducey, the governor of the state at that time, checking his phone because he got the notification that Trump was calling and then just setting it aside. And that is, it's so subtle, but it's so aggressive at the same time. Like, I wouldn't want to answer that call either. How many people, including Republicans, have gotten those notifications and just been like, oh God, I don't want to deal with it. And he didn't. And they didn't overturn the results of the election. I mean, some of them tried to, certainly, but there were people, not only Democrats, but some Republicans that didn't play ball. And especially as we cruise towards coup number 2, let's acknowledge that the first time, at least, there were some, not just in Arizona, but in Georgia as well, in a variety of states that did the right thing. Hey, I'm glad you're here. Listen, in order for the Damage Report to keep on going, we need viewers like you to become a member on YouTube. Can you click the join button on YouTube today? Thank you. Let's return to Donald Trump and his unindicted co-conspiratorship. We want to turn to Michigan. So on the same day that Arizona was dropping their bombshell about the fake electors, Michigan did a similar sort of thing. So you had Howard Schock, special agent for Michigan's attorney general, said that Trump, Mark Meadows, who at that point was Trump's chief of staff, and Rudy Giuliani, once again, who was his personal lawyer, are considered unindicted co-conspirators in Michigan's fake elector case. Now, some of the same names from Arizona also pop up. You have Jenna Ellis. In this case, you have Kenneth Chesebro as well, the cheese bro himself, popping up in another one of these. And this statement that revealed how many people are now wrapped up in Michigan's investigation came during testimony in the preliminary examinations in court as the Michigan Attorney General pursues the same sort of charges that we just saw announced in Arizona. And so it's hard, it's like difficult to keep track, not just of all of the different legal challenges that are happening right now, but even those having to do specifically with the fake electors. So we know, I guess the highest profile version of this is happening in Georgia. So you have the whole RICO case and the developments there. That one's actually underway. You have the charges in Arizona, similarly in Nevada as well. Michigan now is apparently getting close, and Wisconsin is also conducting an investigation. And while many of those people are unindicted co-conspirators right now, we're not that far into the process for Michigan. And so it's possible that some of them, if not all of them, can be upgraded to actually facing charges there as well. It's a lot. It's a lot. And I know that with so much of this coming out every day, it's not just hard to track, but it's hard to care, maybe, I guess, when you're just overwhelmed with so many things. But I just want to briefly remind you of what was done in these 7 states, 7 different states attempting to do the fake elector stuff. Some of them being states where the outcome of the 2020 election was very close, 10,000 votes, 20,000 votes, 80,000 votes or something. Some of them not close at all. Michigan, by the way, I think it was like 110,000 votes or something. It really wasn't up for grabs. But the entire point was an insidious attempt to create just enough uncertainty about the process that they can use sort of like a constitutional process that runs parallel to how the law and the Constitution are supposed to work, to lend a constitutional veneer to what they were doing. And so there's really 3 groups that we should be, I was gonna say angered, but I guess enraged is a better way to point to it. We could not have gotten to where we were without at least 2 of these 3 groups. So Donald Trump, who had been president, making the decision that we're done with democracy, I'm not going and I will do whatever it takes to not go. The fact that he made that decision on an individual level should be super distressing, Of course, it's Donald Trump, so we really don't expect any better. The fact that there were so many Trump supporters who were willing to riot and destroy property and possibly kill people to keep him in office, that's also a big issue. And January 6th obviously is the biggest version of that, but it was hardly the only place that suffered violence like this. There were places counting votes and stuff like that that were mobbed by these people for a long time. January 6th was perhaps the worst, and the fact that you had so many of these people willing to literally beat cops to death with their bare hands or with fire extinguishers or with Trump flags, that is a big issue too. And this one with the fake electors, it almost seems too boring or bureaucratic or wonky or like nerdy to care about as much. But I think that we would be wrong to not place as much importance on this, because these people are weirdos too. They're scattered across a number of states, and they hold state level offices or they're activists or whatever. But they also kind of knew what they were doing and they knew what it represented. There was a line that was being crossed here, and it's easy for one despot to cross the line. It's even easy for a mob of regular people who've been fired up by the propaganda that they're hearing to cross the line. But to really change the system of government that we have, it isn't just one mob that's gonna do that, and it's not just one individual. It's a ton of like middle managers of democracy. That's what determines if elections actually have any meaning. And so when we acknowledge the Republicans that did the right thing, whether it's like Raffensperger in Georgia or some of those in Arizona, it's because they can't overthrow it so long as enough of those people stop them. And there were versions of that inside of the Trump administration as well. People in DC that he tried to corrupt, he tried to have them participate in overthrowing the election, and it didn't work. But with the fake electors, you had all of these people willingly signing up to be tools in the overthrow of democracy. And so like when you look at specifically what they did their meetings, they participated in phone calls, they signed the paper or whatever. It can be easy to see that as not as serious as somebody who's like bashing through a window of the US Capitol or something. But they knew what they were doing. They knew the stakes, they knew what it represented. And I really hope that a lot of them pay for it legally. I don't know exactly how much time in prison we're talking about, if that at all. And it's 7 different investigations. Obviously, the consequences are gonna be different in the 7 different states. But we need to send a strong signal, not just to proto-authoritarians like Donald Trump, that if you cross this line, you will come to pay. But that all the people who would willingly participate, either at the federal level or at the state level, they too need to be warned that these are lines that cannot be crossed, should not have been crossed, and can never be crossed again. Thanks for watching our video. Did you know that you can support our show by becoming a subscriber? Just click the subscribe button and also ring the bell so that you get notifications when we're live or when we post new content.